Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ronsley. Today is episode number 29 of my AI love affair, how I stopped being married to working long hours. I'm excited for today because we have a big topic that's so important for the results and the credibility that your business and your brand gets, onboarding your clients. And it is a surefire way to help them get results that exceed their expectations. It also helps them get quick wins along the way. It helps you create a successful client, that an outcome your business has delivered for them in the most systematic manner that's personalized. Today is all about onboarding. Come on, let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, my AI love affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. All right, episode number 29 of my AI love affair. Today is how to onboard your new clients. It's a growth tactic, and I will cover it just like every other growth tactic, where I'll break it down into some principles. I will tell you about some mistakes that I wish you don't make, and I'll give you the alternative to not making those mistakes to avoid them, and the list of steps followed by prompts that you need to use to kind of create this whole thing in a systematic, personalized, and outcome-focused manner. That's the focus of today's growth tactic. But before we get there, I kind of want to explain an idea that I sort of drew out here. And when you think about this whole equation, your business or your brand is this boat, okay? The fancier the sails and the more it can do to get your clients from where they're at to where the treasure is, which is the outcome you deliver, and they feel more comfortable and more confident in that business and brand, is what will give you the most amount of value. Okay, so they are clients that are coming onto this boat. You're the captain and you're leading them to this treasure. This boat is your business. They need to feel comfortable that the business will deliver the result, but also confident that you as a captain can lead them. All right, you got to allow them to see and get value quickly, and that's the point of this onboarding sequence. And you got to also make sure that they understand the journey that they're on. Don't hide the journey from them. That is the biggest mistake that we can potentially make. But let's get into the principles, right? So on the same analogy of the boat, principle number one is about your logging, captain's log. Document the onboarding process. Start with a checklist, make it simple, and map out the different parts of the process. Map out, when does it start? How does it start? Why do you want it in a certain order for it to start in that order? What information do you need for it to start? Or what is the journey and the route for these people to take? And what does the onboarding sequence look like? And then what is the end goal? You want to document at least those things. Make a checklist or a nested checklist that will allow you to break them down into tasks, projects, and milestones. And you document them first. That's the principle number one. Number two is getting buy-in and all hands on deck. Ensure the people who are part of the process know their roles and allow them to have guidelines on how those roles are interpreted. Like, don't expect your common knowledge to be everyone else's common knowledge. So train your crew, make sure that they have the resources and the competence to be able to execute this onboarding process that you have for your clients. And by the way, if you have an onboarding process for your clients, you've got to have one for your new team members. And I'll probably cover that in another growth tactic. But let's move on. Principle number three, land ahoy. And what I mean by land ahoy is that I want you to help them see the goal. What is the treasure? What is the vision? So set clear, achievable, small goals along the way so they don't feel like they're going up a huge mountain that they don't see any end in sight. Remind them of the destination. There's a great quote that I learned from Taki, who's my coach, who said, clients leave you when they run out of future. So if you can't paint the future for them and they can't see the future with you as part of that, and you can't help them get to that destination, then they kind of start to leave you. And you don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure that in your onboarding, you're reminding them of the destination being key. Okay, now that you have those principles in play, let's think about what mistakes to avoid. Make sure you're not going into uncharted waters. What I mean by that is no one wants to pay for something that you're just learning yourself, right? So make sure that there is no uncharted waters, but also that you have a structure for your onboarding. So instead of not having just like a random sort of view of the map, you have a structure for the onboarding that allows them to understand that you've been there and you know what you're doing. Don't allow them to be mutiny on the bounty, which means like if you're not showing your process to your clients, they feel like you're just making stuff up along the way. So at the start, show them your process so that they understand that this is what's coming up, and try not to allow them to abandon ship, which is don't abandon the idea of not tracking. So there's the whole thing stops at the tracking for effectiveness piece. It doesn't stop at you getting them along the journey. Getting feedback is really important. So when you think about how this is the best served for most of us, there's going to be a framework plus a prompt plus the automation, which will equal free time and space. Okay. So every time you see a growth tactic that I'm doing, I have a framework. I give you a prompt. If you can automate that prompt, you will allow for more free time and space. Even if automation is zero here, framework plus prompt will give you free time and space. Okay. A prompt will also give you free time and space, but if you combine them, this will give you more time and more space. So the 3 steps that I'd love you to consider when you're creating an onboarding sequence for your clients is chart the course, then set sail and get feedback, and then correct that based on the feedback that you're getting. Let's talk about charting the course because it's probably the biggest blank page, and you don't want to start from a blank page. But my friend Joey Coleman has written 2 amazing books. One is How to Never Lose a Customer Again, and the other is How to Never Lose an Employee Again. And read the one where he talks about how to never lose a customer again, because he talks about a really good onboarding process that is amazing. So make sure you go and find Joey. But how to chart the course are a few steps. Firstly, you outline the process and you break them down into key milestones. Under each milestones, what are the tasks to achieve to get those milestones? And then under each of those tasks or each of those milestones, who is responsible? At the very least, I would also like you to add due dates so that everyone is on the same page and we are not deviating from the course. So as much as you can chart the course initially, allow yourself to do that, because you also have a correct course action coming up in the next step. So first, chart to the best of your ability, set sail, and then we'll correct along the way. Step 2 is about setting sail. Make a list of all the assets you need to execute this. So what kind of images you need, what kind of copy, what kind of emails, how are you doing it? And then execute for your existing clients first. Even if they've already been clients for ages, like taking them through this sort of onboarding sequence will help reorient them to how you want to do things and the process that you want to follow. So first, execution. When you're doing that for your clients, take notes and correct the system, right? Really important that I want to highlight here is correcting the system. So when you're taking your existing clients through it, you're correcting the system, not correcting one bit at a time. Make sure the system works. And step 3 is correcting course while you're getting the feedback. You got to have a system to correct the system. So what steps do you have to put in place to make sure you're checking the system is working, and what is the process to correct the system in case it doesn't go according to the way you've planned it to go. Constant chart checking. If you're slightly off by 1 degree to where you're going, over time, that 1 degree just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can land up in an entirely different place. So constant chart checking with your clients and making sure they're on the right path is really vital. Find ways to get that input on a regular basis, and then make sure you're constantly checking two main stakeholders: the passengers, which are your clients, and the crew, which are your team. Make sure you always have those checks in place. So to execute this, there are 3 prompts that I'd love for you to execute. I'll also have some really cool case studies that I have collected for you, which I'll show you towards the end of this. And join us at level 1. You'll get a whole bunch of prompts and concepts to understand how to use AI in your business. aigeeks.co/level1. And join us in the Discord group, aigeeks.co/discord. All right, the prompts. The first prompt is you go into and start to like look at captain's orders. What does that look like? And you're going to just start not from a blank page. You're going to start with saying, generate me a step-by-step onboarding process for my clients who are X. This is my product. This is what I deliver. This is the outcome I promise them. And let it start creating a generic onboarding process, which you can alter, edit, and make use for yourself. The second thing is, once you have that and you've confirmed that step-by-step onboarding process, you then say, I would love for you to enlist my crew members, which are the roles and responsibilities required to execute this onboarding process, right? That's the second prompt that you're going to go and ask for. And the third prompt, based on all that, is you're going to create the treasure map. And you're going to say, okay, now that you have the onboarding process, you know what the roles and responsibilities are. I would love you to break this down into small, achievable goals for my clients. Who are these? Can we make this a 6 weeks onboarding process and make sure that they can get quick wins at every week? And what are the wins? What are the things they have to execute to get those wins? Now, obviously, you can get more detailed prompts. And if you're part of level 2 or level 3 or Ride Flow, you can get these all automated for you. Just want to show you a couple of things because I think this is really important. Okay. All right. When I was doing research on creating this particular growth tactic, I asked ChatGPT, using the Metaphor plugin and WebPilot enabled, to browse the internet and give me good systems, references, and templates of existing customer onboarding experiences that have worked and have been documented. And it came up with PlantFix, which was a complex product, and as they found it difficult to engage new users, and they show you how they created an academy with Academy Ocean, and they put together a course for beginners called 1 Day with PlantFix, and how they implemented this particular onboarding sequence. And they also mentioned that their conversion rate for trial accounts into regular customers was 17 to 19%, whereas now it's gone up to 25%. And depending on how much numbers those are, that makes a big, big difference. I have those links for you. I've asked for other examples. They have an example of Basecamp, but then I also said, give me an example of another one which they use, which is called Groove. And it's a customer service platform. And they talk about a few things, 4 different things that they used, Groove used in their onboarding sequence. They use email for low-touch customer onboarding, knowledge-based article for self-service onboarding, made sure there was already an existing knowledge base. The third thing they did was in-app communication for fast onboarding, and live training sessions for high-touch onboarding. So they've done a few different things here, and you can read that all in here. But I finally kind of asked it a question, which was, I'm definitely going to ask it for all growth tactics going forward. On the topic of onboarding new customers, what are other topics, ideas, mistakes I haven't considered yet? And it really gave me some really nice ones, which I just want to cover a couple. One is personalization, obviously, but gamification is incorporating game-like elements such as points, badges, or levels into the onboarding process that can make it more enjoyable and motivating for the customers. There's also part of that ideas about cross-departmental collaboration. So onboarding is not just the responsibility of one particular part of your business. It's not only the customer success team. Everyone, including delivery, should be responsible for the onboarding of a new client. Some of the mistakes that we want to avoid, and there are 5 here, and if you're watching, you can read them, but I'll have all these links and all this data for you in the Discord channel, so make sure you check that out. Mistakes to avoid: neglecting to set clear expectations at the start is a big one. Overloading customers with too much information is another big one. And this tends to happen especially for people who are really skilled at what they do. They have so much information to share that they forget the people consuming that information don't really understand where it's coming from and how to layer them. So our job and our responsibility is to make sure that we layer the information in ways that it doesn't become overwhelming for them to understand what we're trying to teach them. Now, this is episode 29 of my AI Love Affair. Join me for episode 30, but also go check out our back catalog at myailoveaffair.com. Join us in the Discord group at aigeeks.co/Discord. Find free courses, and we've got to find our free course called aigeeks.co/level1. There are 20 lessons and prompts which you can use to implement AI in your business. But until the next episode, love what you do what you love. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/Discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.